All right, guys, we're live again. I had to get my charger for the laptop because my battery was about to die. Let me see if all this is working correctly. Yeah, it looks like it is. Oh, crap. All right, cool. Yeah, so in today's live, we're going to talk about, what are your financial weaknesses and what can you do to address those financial weaknesses. So, my first financial weakness is, when I first started off, I would say, like in the beginning of college, my financial weakness was not being able to determine when something was not working and then transition to something else. I think that's the worst thing you can do. Now, I did this when I was like this happened to me when I was younger, so it wasn't that bad because when you're at an earlier age, you can transition to something different and you can kind of stay longer on something even though it's not working for you. But I would say when you get into your later years, like past 30, I don't think you can stay on something for more than 3 years. That is my rule of thumb. Like you should try something for 3 years, assess it and see, okay, what progress did I make from this specific thing? And is it enough progress to justify doing this thing for another, 3 years or 2 years to actually get it to where you need to get it to. So, and that's why targets are important, especially when you're doing like a business. Like I was set, a maybe like a yearly revenue target and say, okay, within 3 years, I want to be generating 10 to 15,000, after expenses. And if I don't get to that, then it's considered a fail. And I might want to, try something different. Now, if you get close to that target, it doesn't have to be 15,000 because if you got, let's say you just got to like 13,000 instead of 15,000, well, it's only 2,000 shy from your target. So, you could probably, since you didn't hit your exact target, you could probably say, okay, I'm going to give this another year to get to that 15,000. And, if I don't get that, then I'm going to have to make a decision, right? Because, it's pretty close and you could justify going another year trying to make this thing work. But, that was my issue. Like I was stock trading and, I bought courses. I spent about 2 to 3 thousand on courses and probably a little bit more than that. Actually, I probably spent like 4,000 on courses and, actually 4 to 5 years worth of trading. And I was like negative 4,000 bucks. So yeah, like if I would have kept trading, I probably would have been down 30 to 40,000. Now, I'm not saying trading can't work for, some people, but for me, it just didn't work out. And I think that's a big thing too, because whatever you're doing, you might see somebody, it might be working for somebody else and they might just be, gifted, or it might just come to them a lot easier than it comes to you. And maybe that's not something you should be doing. All right. And I'm talking about financially, right? If you're not really losing, money, then maybe you could keep trying it. If it's something that you're not really losing money and you could do that and then you could do something else, then maybe, you could continue doing that thing. But if it's something that's like depleting your resources, I would say, try to find something different for sure. But yeah, that's my one of my financial weaknesses. I would say I've gotten better with it because now if I do something for 3 years, I'm not gonna sit there and continue to do the same thing. Like if I'm gonna continue to work on that same business idea or investment idea, I'm going to adjust something. Like, I'm not going to just continue to do the same thing. It doesn't make any sense. All right, number two, I would say my second financial weakness, I would say, would be, I would say, like, I wouldn't even call it a financial weakness because I can afford, like, where I live, but I could say maybe it's a little on the fancy side. But my justification for that is it kind of, I wouldn't say motivate. I would say if you're in a nice place, it's easier to get work done. Just for me, you know, if you have a place where you can look out and you can see, have a nice view, I think it's easier to get work done. And that's just for me. Maybe, you could get work done in any old room. And I'm pretty sure I could get work done in any old room. I've lived in worst apartments before, and I've gotten work done, but I've just noticed, okay, if I have an apartment downtown, like after I do my work, I can go out for a walk. Okay, if I have an apartment with a view, I wake up. For me, it is. I would say it's kind of motivational. Not in a sense like, oh, like it's like the best apartment, but it's just it's just a nice view. It kind of just gets me in the right mood, opposed to having a crappy view and you can't really see anything. So yeah, I pay extra for my rent to have those things, but I'm not going above my means. It's definitely within like my budget, within the money I make. I could definitely, afford it. So yeah, that's another thing. And then maybe like I do like tennis shoes. So my shoes, I don't get like designer stuff. I'm not buying like $500-$600 shoes. That's something I'm definitely not doing. But my shoes will be anywhere from like 50 to $100. Maybe sometimes they go over, maybe to like 150, depending on if I really like the shoe. So, but again, I mean, all those things I have the money for. Obviously, I could get cheaper shoes and I could take that additional money and invest it, but it's just something that I like to do. And, as long as I can afford it, it's okay. And that's kind of the point of the video. Like, even if you have financial weaknesses, like as long as you know how to deal with them, it's okay. The problem is when you have a financial weakness, you have a financial weakness and you're not doing anything about it. Right? So, you need to jot down your financial weaknesses and make sure, you're they're not dipping into your savings or your investing accounts. That's when it becomes a problem. I'm trying to see what else. What else? What else? I again, like the first one is probably a real big one. Like nowadays, I try to do a lot, like some good research on the stuff that I'm investing in. So that way, if I go past the 3 year mark, at least I'm seeing some progress. And that's what I'm seeing with the stuff I'm doing now as far as the crypto stuff. I've been in crypto over, I would say 5 years now, over 5 years. And I haven't gotten to my targets, but I've seen substantial progress. So that's why I'm still in it. Now, if I was in crypto and I was like, oh, dang, like I'm down all this money, I'm not seeing anything, then I'd be like, okay, we got to switch this up. But no, I think it's an ever-growing space. I think it's one of those spaces that is just going to continue to get big. Obviously, I was talking about the spot Bitcoin ETF. I think it was like a few live streams ago. I was talking about the spot Bitcoin. So the space, I say all that to say the space is just getting big. All right, it's not going away. It's something we're gonna have for the foreseeable future. And I don't mind seeing this investment for another, adding additional years as long as I'm seeing progress. progress within my portfolio and then progress within the space, right? It's it it's like, and I can give you an example, but like one of the crypto projects, and this is kind of getting really specific, but like a lot of the crypto projects are run by DAOs. They're called decentralized autonomous organizations. Basically, the crypto is run by the people, right? And in within the code, they pay people to do specific tasks or complete stuff out for the project. So it's a self-governing um, community, I would say. That's basically what it is. So like today, I was watching a podcast, and like one of the projects that the community invested in wasn't really like they were 400,000 in the hole, and the company has shown no growth, like nothing, and 400,000 in the hole. And not only 400,000 in the hole, it's 50,000 a year to pay the people running the investing. It's called on their end. It's called a diff. It's called I don't know if the D stands for oh yeah, it's Dash Investment Fund. Essentially, the coin, the crypto is called Dash, and within Dash they have the code itself funds groups within the community, and one of the groups is called the diff. Diff stands for Dash Investing Fund, and basically the people that run the diff, they get paid 50,000 a year to make those investments, the 400,000 that I was telling you about, and so it's $50,000 a year that is going out, and they're down 400,000, and it's been 4 or 5 years. So that in that specific situation, money just keeps flowing out, and nothing's coming back in. In that situation, you say, okay, we need to stop this immediately, because one, the money that went out, it didn't bring us any value back. And then two, you have an outflow of 50K a year, paying people to do what? They're not making the right investments, and they're trying to invest in these projects that don't have any future. So yeah, I would say things like that. That was a more specific example, but it's just one of those things where it's like, okay, we spent all this money and we didn't get nothing done. Like we got nothing done, and we continue to put money into this thing, and it's like, wow, like you gotta, and a lot of people are like that. They just have so much conviction in this thing that they don't want to say, okay, it's just time to, like Mr. I don't know if you guys watch Shark Tank, but Mr. Wonderful says, when it's like when the people come on the show and they're like, hey, I've been doing this thing for 6-7 years, and then like he asks for like revenue, how much revenue? They're like negative 200,000. He's like, okay, well, it's time to take it behind the barn and shoot it. So that's basically what you need to do for stuff like that. It's like, okay, we just need to give this thing up. But yeah, so I've gotten better with that as far as the crypto, or at least if I'm staying with something over 3 years, because that's my rule of thumb, I would say it has to be showing some significant progress. And I would say with crypto, it has. So it's one of those investments that I'm like, okay, I don't mind, staying in it a little bit longer. Now, I would say after this bull run, I'm going to be out. I'm going to take my gains, and I'm going to invest that into other paper assets. I'll probably still keep some in crypto. Crypto, like I said, crypto is an ever-evolving space, but I'm probably not going to go outside of the like if you go to CoinMarketCap, they have the first 100 coins and the second 100 coins. I wouldn't go out of the top 20 after this. Like right now, I'm dibbling and dabbling in the top 100, which is still a good selection of coins to choose from when you talk about investments, but still they could still be risky. So I'll probably just narrow my selection down to the top 5 and then, just hold at that point. I don't have to be, active in the space. Obviously, I'll keep up with projects that I'm interested in. I'll be in the Discord channels. I'll be watching the news, and that's what you have to do too. I named 2 financial weaknesses of mine, but okay, so let me talk about a financial weakness that I see a lot from the people, or just from my observation. I think one main financial weakness from the like that I see with the public or the middle class would be, getting into an investment and not keeping up with it. Now, obviously, if you're in something like a mutual fund or a ETF, then you don't. I wouldn't even say you don't need to keep up with it, because you still need to keep up with you should always be keeping up with the overall market, but definitely keep up with the projects that are in that ETF or in that mutual fund. Don't just get into an ETF and not know, because there's different type of ETFs. There's like ones for technology, there's one for medical, and all types of stuff. So you still, even though it's like ever changing, like the ETF gets managed for you, like I would still be aware of what companies are in it, even though obviously Vanguard, like people or companies like Vanguard do the research for you. You should still, be aware of what companies you're invested in, because maybe you don't agree with Vanguard. And again, that's probably will never be the case because they really do their research, but maybe there's another medical or technology ETF that has better companies or a better selection, and you want to go with that one instead. But when we talk about like a single investment, I was talking more about like, if you invested in like a Tesla or Shopify or a Circle, or, just a single stock. If you're invested in a single stock, make sure you keep up with that stock. Make sure that, you're keeping up with the news. One, you go to the website and you look, they usually have like, each company usually has a section with the most recent news. So that's a good way to keep up with it. The finance YouTubers are going to be talking about, those companies on YouTube. So that's a good way too to watch those videos. Keep up with the earnings report. You could go on Yahoo Finance and pull the earnings report. So stuff like that, just keep up. That's one of the main weaknesses I see. People just buy into something and just leave it. Like they don't keep up with their investment. And that's a big weakness, I would say, for the majority of people. You need to keep up with your investment. And I would say like close to every day, right? At least it doesn't have to be for an hour, but at least 5 minutes you carve out to say, okay, I'm invested in this. What's going on? Has anything happened? Because anything can happen within a day, like with your investment. And then, you wake up one morning, it's down 50, 60%, and you're like, oh, what happened? Like, it should never be that. You should be like, it's down 50%. Oh, I just read yesterday they might be, cutting employees or whatever the case may be. Like, you need to be aware of what's going on with the stuff you invested in. But yeah, those are my 2 major weaknesses. That's one of the major weaknesses I see with, the public, the people. And then also, let me see. Oh, another financial weakness I would say is like when you purchase a course, or like let's say you want to do drop shipping, right? And or whatever, like it doesn't have to be drop shipping. I'm just using drop shipping as an example. But let's say, okay, I don't know anything about drop shipping. I'm going to go buy a course so I can learn about drop shipping. just because you bought that course doesn't mean, that's it. Like that's the end point with drop shipping. You should be continuously learning about the drop shipping business. It's going to be ever evolving. It's not going to stay the same. And people think, oh, I bought this $1,000, $2,000 course or $500 course. Okay, that's it. Like, I'm not going to do anything else to learn about drop shipping. I'll learn everything that is. I'm making money. Even if you made money, that model eventually is going to change. And if you don't keep up with that, you're not going to, adapt to the environment. So make sure that when you buy a course, that you're keeping up with whatever, sector it's in, whether it's drop shipping or affiliate marketing or flipping. You need to keep up with that. And then don't expect the person that taught you to do everything. Like, they're not going to give you an exact blueprint of what needs to be done. You need to create your own way. I'm not saying you can't copy what some of what somebody else does, but you can't expect to do the same exact thing somebody else didn't expect results. I think that's the problem with most people. They want to get a course and have them do all the work. Like, okay, I spent $1,000 and okay, I'm done. Like, I did the work. And no, honestly, that's like the bare minimum. I would say that's the bare minimum. You're not going to get anywhere trying to copy a course exactly. Like, it's not just going to work. It's not going to work for you. All right. And that's why so many people, you hear so many people like, oh, this course is a scam. It doesn't work, because they think it's like, a one-for-one thing. It's like, no, there's so much, like I said, with the trading, I bought $3,000 to $5,000 worth of course material and didn't make any money. Well, I mean, I did, but I ended up net negative, right? So you're not gonna, you don't expect to, just because you paid a lot of money for something, to get results, right? And I think you should always be paying, like for education, always be paying for a course to get updated in your field of, interest, right? But yeah, that's it for today. I wanted to go over financial weaknesses. Leave in the comments, leave some of your financial weaknesses and let me know what you're facing. Everybody, like I said, everybody has financial weaknesses. As long as you're aware of your financial weaknesses, I think you'll be okay. And you, try to minimize that financial weakness as much as possible. But yeah, that's it. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.